During a trip to southern Utah, I crashed my dirt bike, I shattered my leg, emergency surgery, and months of recovery, and suddenly I was forced to stop. And you know what's crazy is that pause gave me clarity. For years, I was juggling it all. I mean, I'm sure you and a lot of your viewers know this, right? Real estate agent, short-term rental host, investor, wife, mom. I had success, but I had no balance. So sometimes people will say, short-term rentals sound fun. Did you buy your dream and end up creating another job? Don't do that. Don't create another job. Guess what? Hotels are easier. You would never believe it. You're going to look at me and say, how is a hotel easier?
Welcome, DeAnna. I am so excited to have you here from Collective Destinations, a true story of investing in real estate. And before we dive in, I would love for you to share a little bit more about your career in real estate and how that got you to investing.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. I feel like I've been in real estate my whole life. I've been in real estate since I could hold a hammer, really. At 8 years old, I was crawling through attics and laying shingles. I was helping my dad and uncles build homes. We would actually move into the home, put it up for sale, and build the next one. House hacking before house hacking was a thing. And that taught me how to see the value before others do and how to lead from the ground up. I was able to see how that provided income and wealth for my family. But it was a lot of work, right? And so I knew that I would always own rental properties of some sort because my family did. The first home that I ever bought, I was a single mom and a bartender, and I bought a duplex. It came with a tenant, right? So that was when I think I was 24. So I'll age myself here. It's been over, 2 decades and still in real estate, still love it. But yeah, that's how I got into real estate, just from a very young age. I've always been in it.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you've had that trajectory of start with the ground up. And so, what was it that caused you to go from this is really interesting to this is a strategy where I can truly build wealth?
That's a really great question because a lot of people do this just as a hobby, right? They're accidental landlords because they couldn't sell their home, or they thought it sounded like a good idea because they saw something on HGTV, right? And then the reality kicks in. And for years, I was juggling it all. I mean, I'm sure you and a lot of your viewers know this, right? Real estate agent, short-term rental host, investor, wife, mom. I had success, but I had no balance. I remember saying, I wish I could just sit on the couch and do nothing. And careful what you ask for because the universe delivered. During a trip to southern Utah, I crashed my dirt bike, I shattered my leg, emergency surgery, and months of recovery. And suddenly I was forced to stop. And what's crazy is that pause gave me clarity. It was the only thing that was still bringing in income were our vacation rentals. And that moment changed everything for me. I realized that if I doubled down on lifestyle assets, properties that worked, whether I was hustling or healing, I could build real freedom. And really, that's what it's all about, right? Is that time freedom, that financial freedom. And I like the luxury hospitality because I also get to use creative freedom as well, which I love anything that I can put a creative, magical touch to it. So,
That's a great story. Not that you were injured. I think the biggest thing missing in so many real estate agents and investors' lives is the pause. I call it the golden pause, where we are forced by some act of nature or just by a season in our life to really sit down and reflect and say, okay, what direction don't we want? Do we want to go and don't we want to go? And oftentimes that pause is missed. And then we see those leaders, agents, team members go on to something totally different than real estate. And so to me, the pause is probably the most important thing that we can take away from being in real estate is really directing to where you're passionate about. And it sounds like that's what you've done. And I'm excited to share with all of our listeners here in just a few minutes about your creative touches and all that you're doing. One thing you talk about is those short term rentals. And I know just in working with investors as well as property management companies, so many people think, oh my gosh, short term rentals are so glamorous. They see it on HGTV, they see the profits that they're making or what they're charging week by week. And so, What is it that investors typically underestimate when they get into these short-term vacation rentals that they probably should have been thinking before they got into the industry?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are not talked about, right? Everything looks glamorous. I know I'll even get on Instagram or whatever and I'll get jealous of other people because I'm like, their life's so amazing and everything's perfect and their vacation rentals, what's going wrong over here? And that's exactly it, is knowing that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. A lot of it is, it's very luxurious, it's very beautiful. You get to add that creative touch. I love hospitality because I have that guest interaction, which I really love. It takes a certain person that loves hospitality. And so there's lots of different avenues in real estate. I chose my lane with this because I do love that interaction and providing an amazing experience. My passion is to create a beautiful space where people can come and have amazing experiences. But the things that people overlook are when the experiences aren't so great, right? When they don't talk about the late night, the 2 a.m. phone calls, right? They don't talk about the calls that happen at midnight. They don't talk about the guest that shows up at 2 in the morning and suddenly the key box is not working. The electronic keypad has died. The batteries are dead. They can't get in. It's 2 in the morning. They don't talk about that call, or they don't talk about when you got the call at 2 a.m., but you didn't see it until 8 a.m. That's even worse, right? So making sure it's that messy middle when you scale and you're like, I can do this. This looks like fun, and realizing that just like in, traditional real estate, you're wearing 15 different hats and you need to be an expert in every single field, right? Financials, but you're a CEO, you're a financial analyst, you're all the different things. When you're first getting started, a lot of people are their own, painter, handyman, all the work that's involved behind the scenes. So it can be a lot of work if you don't have a solid foundation. So understanding that there is that messy middle, that there are the pain points of, the middle of the night, if you're doing it as a hobby. So making sure that those are the things that you're doing it. Okay, answer this question. It's from Robert Kiyosaki's Quadrants of Investing, right? Or business. Do you want to be a business owner or do you want to be self-employed, right? And self-employed, you're buying yourself another job. So sometimes people will say, short-term rentals sound fun. Did you buy your dream and end up creating another job? Don't do that. Don't create another job. So those are the things. And then also the financials. You've got to be so strong with your financials and not just, hey, this is what it says, on Airbnb, what it might make, knowing what the cost of running it. It's not the same as a regular long-term rental. Long-term rentals, you can put a property manager in, and I think they're like, 10%, 12%, but vacation rental property management is from 20 to 30 to even 50%. So that eats into your profits. So if you're going to hire a property management company to do it, make sure you're calculating that. If you're going to do it yourself, make sure you pay yourself. Don't work for free. So calculate those. The other thing is if it's a luxury vacation rental, a lot of these places are in HOAs. Understanding that those HOAs do not stay the same. We have a property in Hawaii that started out with the HOA being $800 a month, which is a lot, but now it's doubled. So within 6 years, it's gone from 800 a month to 1,700 a month. So knowing that that is a possibility and adding in that cushion, that 10%, cushion that, hey, this could go up, or even more of a cushion than that. The other thing, and this is in any sort of real estate, as you already know, Debbie, is when somebody purchases a new property, they will reassess the taxes. So if you're like, oh, this person is only paying, this much a year in taxes, now you purchased it at this higher price, they're going to reassess it and your taxes may double. It doesn't mean that it always will happen, but being prepared for that so you're not surprised. So covering the downside is important. Please stay in vision, stay in imagination, stay up here in dreamy when you're creating, envisioning and what's possible, but make sure that you have a risk mitigation plan, make sure that you're covering the downside so that there aren't any surprises, so that it stays profitable. And then you can, spend your money on making it pretty with pillows and decorations and all that fun stuff, but cover the downside first, and then we get to create something beautiful.
DeAnna, I love all that you're sharing here. And it's interesting too when you think about the HOAs, because we have this as a second home market. One of the things that shows up is also those HOA rules change. So we may be able to have short term rentals now, and then we get a new board in that outlaws the short term rentals in this community or a percentage of them within the community. So I think it's always important when we're looking at STRs is really considering what would this look like as a long-term investment opportunity, a long-term rental investment opportunity if that were to happen. And we do see that here. It's funny too, the other thing that we see often is that someone will buy a second home and say, "Oh, I just want to rent it to cover the mortgage." And so then they rent it to just cover the mortgage, and along come the damages, the need for the plumber, the HVAC stops working, they come and the place has holes in the walls or the linens get dingy. It's all those things that we don't think about, and all we did was cover our mortgage. And so it is interesting how many people get into this, accidentally trip into the investing or the short-term rental market, and then end up tripping themselves back out. So it is one of those things, it's ebb and flow. What I would love for you to share with us is some of the different types of products or properties that you all have and have worked on in the past, because I do want to dive into these different lifestyle driven investments with you, because I think that is a true path of the investing side of the industry. Even if you go all the way back to Airbnb, it is more about, are you creating a lifestyle? Are you creating something that attracts people to your property more than just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in this area? So share a little bit about those projects that you've been working on so that then we can dive into some of those lifestyle pieces.
Yes. Oh, what a great question. We absolutely want to create an experience, right? It's no longer just heads in beds. It's about creating an experience from the moment that they land at the airport all the way to when they arrive and open the door to their beautiful vacation rental. So, the properties we have, I'm so glad you asked. We are in Hawaii, Utah, Mexico, on the lake in Oklahoma, and our newest resort in the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean. So we are global. We have 11 properties in 7 beautiful destinations all over the world. And what I love about these are a few things. It's strategic. It's very strategic. I figured out how to time travel. We want to buy at the end of the path of progress, right? So Araya Resort is in the Dominican Republic at the end of a peninsula in a fishing village that is just up and coming. And Travel and Leisure voted Las Galeras, which is the town where we are, as the #1 trending destination in 2024. And we got in at the ground level. So now we're number 8 on TripAdvisor in the region. We just had an amazing Christmas and New Year's holiday, able to create these celebrations. We invited the community to celebrate Three Kings holiday, which is a holiday they have in the Dominican, and really being able to have those, create those experiences and those memories. We have lake homes in Oklahoma where people are coming year after year to have family reunions. They say, we used to come here and camp on this lake, and now we get to stay in a beautiful home. The moms don't have to pack up the RV. They don't have to do all that. They get to come and stay in a beautiful home on a lake that they grew up on. And so when I hear these experiences, when I hear the memories that they're creating, that's my passion. That's what I love to do. And there's so much behind the scenes to make it smooth, right? To make it so that from the moment they land at the airport all the way until they get to their home, their vacation home, is streamlined, is easy. We do everything with ease so that they really have an amazing time and they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's the goal.
So are you looking at more of the entire project, so the entire hotel, the entire area that you could improve through lifestyle advancements, or are you buying like a condo somewhere and improving that condo?
So we do both. We've actually pivoted to resorts because guess what? Hotels are easier. You would never believe it. You're going to look at me and say, how is a hotel easier? We are pivoting from the short-term rental space into the boutique hotels and the glamping retreats. I haven't even talked about the glamping retreat. I could talk to you all day long. Anyway, because it's an experiential retreat destination, it's already allowed, right? They don't change regulations for the hotels. They want the hotels there. That's what you want to do. So we look for places where there's a few things. End of the path of progress, which I talked about with my time traveling. We look for seasonality. So you're wondering, why is she randomly a condo in Hawaii, randomly lake homes in Oklahoma, random resort in Araya? It was intentional. We make sure that we have different seasons. So our summer season at the lake balances a winter season in the Caribbean so that we always have some sort of busy season balancing the rest. We also buy in different economies. So if one economy is not doing great, the other economy is doing really well, right? So in 2008, when the US had the huge crash, Brazil was having an amazing upswing and a lot of money was made. So when you go global and you can position yourself in different economies, different seasons, different markets, we talk about diversity, right? Everybody wants to diversify their portfolio, but they think that means they have to invest in apartments and oil and gas and this and this. If you can diversify your portfolio inside of your vacation rental portfolio, you're diversified, but you're in something luxurious that people love to enjoy themselves and profit from.
This is true strategy. If you're listening to this, even in like investors out there, asking yourselves the questions of have we diversified through seasonality? Have we diversified globally through different economic markets? It's not just like diversification of single family versus condo, like you said, or all in one region of the United States. It's like those are bigger picture questions that we have to ask ourselves as investors. And one thing that I truly appreciate about you, Deanna, is you always cause me to think differently. And that seasonality piece was not something that I've thought of. And you are spot on because when the beach is cold, someplace else is warm. And then when the snow is falling in a ski type of resort area, something else is on the downswings. Those nuggets are gold. So now take me to the investor personality. I'm certain that you have some investors who just want mailbox money. Like, here, please take my product. Here's my money. Help me invest this at the highest level and create some type of return. And then you have those investors who want to be hands on in the weeds with you, creating the experience. How do you help them decide which avenue is best for them and which avenue is best for you and your company?
That's a really good question because I provide a unique opportunity for investors to invest in an already open and operational portfolio of assets, right? So they can come in and have that mailbox money. We're open, we're operational. They can come in as limited partners and be a part of the deal and actually own the properties without the headaches of management. So I found that I really deal with three different types of investors, which is the mailbox money, the passive. I just want to own beautiful resorts all over the world that I can visit and not have to have that 2 a.m. phone call from the guest. Then we have the second investor, which you mentioned, which is I want to invest in something that's already open, operational, making money, and I have some money to invest in that, but I also want to learn what you're doing. And I'm an open book. Fully, what do you want to know? Right. And so anybody who invests with me also gets access to all the systems we're using. And it's still very much, a limited partnership and a general partnership with this one option. And so they still have input. We have office hours once a month and they get on and we talk and we collaborate and we share ideas. That's why I called it collective destinations, because when you get a collective together with great minds sharing ideas, like you just said with the seasonality, there are so many things that we maybe didn't think about that somebody else in the space is thinking about. So why not, right? And then there has been this third group of investors that I haven't been able to add value to. And for the last year, I've been figuring out how can I add value to investors that maybe they're not accredited. Maybe, they don't own any properties, but they want to. How can I provide that value? And so now I offer a program where I teach investors, entrepreneurs, how to buy that short-term rental, how to get out of the messy middle. Maybe they own two or three. And like we just talked about the chaos, it's the messy middle. So what I do is I teach how to shorten the messy middle. Anytime you want to scale, anytime you want to move into something new, you're new at it. And so it's going to be messy. And that's okay, but we want to shorten that time frame. So that's where I've created the program where people can learn from me. We get in there, we get into their operations, we clean it up, but with the intention of showing you how to buy the boutique hotel. And the reason for that is, like I said, the hotels, they're easier. When I just went through the holidays, and I have this saying that's not my motto, it's not my mantra, but it happened this last year, is holidays and hospitality are hell. And I want to help other women who are going through that to not have a holiday in hospitality this hell. I'll tell you, we had some problems, right, over Christmas. That always happens. A water heater goes out, an air conditioner goes out. And that happened at my short-term rentals, and trying to find people that to work on Christmas Eve, because that's when it will always happen. You know, you're in a short-term rental market. It will always happen on Christmas Eve, Christmas, or New Year. So just be ready for it. And that is chaos. If you're a hustling host or a hobbyist, that's hard. You're trying to find the maintenance person that's going to work on Christmas or even answer their phone. But when you own a hotel and an air conditioner goes out, you have other rooms to put your guests in. You already have your staff there working, getting paid double time, and they're happy to be there. And so everything works. It's run like a business instead of, like we talked about, the quadrants. It's a business, not self-employed. It's not a hobby, it's a business. And so that's what I'm teaching, that third bucket of investors. This is if you're not accredited or you can invest or you want to do it all on your own, I now have a way to help people do that as well.
That is such great information. So you've mentioned the word accredited several times, and I'm certain there are listeners out there, even investors, who aren't really clear on what does that mean to be an accredited investor. So can you enlighten us on that one?
Absolutely. I didn't even know I was accredited until I started raising capital for my deal, years ago. An accredited investor is somebody who either makes 200,000 a year as a single person, 300,000 as a couple, or has $1 million of net worth, not including their primary residence. A lot of people think it's both. It's not, it's either or. And I didn't even realize that. Of course, I'm accredited. I own 11 properties, but I didn't know a lot of people think you have to go and take a certification or take a course. No, this just makes sure that they know what they're doing in real estate. They've invested before, they own properties, or they make enough income that this won't take somebody out. This just is what helps people from getting taken advantage in the investing side of the world. So that's what that means. And the challenge has been, somebody that owns it in California is immediately accredited because they just have to own a half a house to be accredited. And somebody in Ohio might have to own 4 houses to be accredited. And so that's where I would run into a little bit of challenges. And that's why I opened up this program, was to show people that it is possible for them also to have these opportunities by, reaching out to people like you, really professional real estate agents that can show them. Call your realtor, right? Call your professional real estate agent and ask them, how can I use real estate to secure my financial future? That's a very
Yeah.
important thing for people to do.
And it's interesting because when you were saying accredited, I was thinking a class too. I'm thinking like one of these designation type classes that I need to sit through in order to be accredited. So that's really interesting to know that actually we are accredited. We have rental properties. And so we could get in with collective destinations and be part of a hotel. Like that actually sounds more glamorous than owning short term rentals. Like just be part
Right.
of a experience, right? Now, you also mentioned about call your realtor. So I'm going to take us back just a couple steps and say, okay, we have someone that's interested in this and they might involve themselves in investing and they're looking to really get started, grow their portfolio, raise funds, that sort of thing. How are you connecting with real estate agents or how are you working alongside real estate agents to help you grow in the investing space?
So that's where I reach out to experts in the field that are collaborative, right? They're parts of the experts that we need. We need the realtors, we need the lenders, the DSCR loans, we need all of these experts. And so, just like I am with you, Debbie, we get on a live, we get on a podcast, and we share with the audience what's possible. Because I think that people don't know it's possible. They know the conventional things that they can do, and they think that they have to invest in their 401k and they have to invest in, maybe they have to buy a rental, but then they have to, fix toilets and be a landlord, and they don't want to do that. And so I work with other real estate agents to help clients find those properties and to teach the different nuances of the different areas, right? What you just told me about the HOAs, I knew that, but it was one thing that I had forgotten because I'm in Hawaii. They're not going to say you can't do short-term rentals in Hawaii. Well, they did. Actually, that's not true. They did on the long term, on the residential side of things. And so having that professional agent in your back pocket that knows what's happening in that market, that's so important because I'm global. I have to have a good realtor in every location that knows what's happening and what's coming. You want to know what's coming down the line in the government, in the different policies, all of that. So it's really important to have that professional on your team.
And I love that collaborative space, and that was one of the things we joked about before we started recording was you and I were chatting, and I was sharing that I had gone to Asheville and driven by this somewhat dilapidated hotel, most likely from Helene, sustained quite a bit of damage, however, was on a golf course, and I drove by going, "Oh, I know Deanna's gonna know exactly what to do with that," and it's still one of those things in the back of my mind. So it is nice to have someone in your corner to come and say, and you did. You're like, "Hey, are we still talking about that? Let's look further. Let's figure this thing out." And so it is that one, the encouragement, but two, you're not in it alone. And, all tides rise, sinking ships, or whatever that saying is. I know I probably messed that up. But again, it's like keeping us collaborative in the real estate industry, not as agents versus investors versus lenders. Because again, I'm seeing a lot of transition in the loan products as well. And so just a lot more opportunity there. So we're still back at getting started. If someone is listening and feeling curious about, what's the first smart move I can make in getting involved in some of this? Because it all sounds exciting. And then we have to figure out what we have for knowledge around this. But what would you recommend to level up skill sets and gain more information on this type of topic?
Find your guide. You want the guide that you trust, that you can work with, that will keep you accountable, and also remind you when you have those dreams and you find that hotel that you're in love with and be like, "Remember the hotel? Are you gonna do that?" And the guide can help you take that back burner project that someday, when I figure it all out, a decade down the road, they'll help you shorten that timeline so you can get to your dream faster. So, the practical next steps. Join my masterclass. I'm offering a free masterclass here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm taking, just like we talked about, all of the different collaborative, complementary experts coming onto the masterclass, talking about everything you need to know in real estate, and we'll talk about all the different avenues. So short-term rentals are my specialty, but that may or may not be of interest to your viewers, and so we wanna show them all of their options, right? It's a buffet, I like to say. So you have a buffet, you don't have to choose everything. What do you wanna choose on that buffet? So we'll talk about all the different types of investments you could do in real estate. We'll talk about the different loan products that you said, those are changing all of the time. People might not realize that I got a lot of my homes for free. That's a thing. And so talking about these different strategies, right? The different strategies that maybe you can get in for no money, but it takes longer, or you can collaborate with other people and have a quicker finish line. So all these things we'll talk about in the masterclass. It's 4 hours, it's free. And so you can comment or you can go to my Instagram. You'll ask me that later. But anyway, there's a way to join the wait list so that you'll be notified how to do that. I'm really excited, but that would be the first step. Make sure that you find the guide that you resonate, that has the same values, because you're going to be working closely together. Make sure you're held accountable and make sure that you get to your dream.
Yes, and I love the thought of the master class because to me, it's like there's so much information out there that it could feel a little overwhelming as you start diving into reading books, listening to podcasts, hearing about those who have been successful, and then work to backtrack that to go, okay, well, where did they really start? And I think all of us in the real estate industry started with 0 clients, a big smile, and willing to work. And that's where it starts. It's just like, what's the next rung on the ladder? And that's what I appreciate you offering this masterclass out to our listeners is that, it's learn about the rungs on the ladder. And if nothing else, it will make you a better real estate agent because now you have content to go and share with your investors, ideas to share with your investors, maybe some business to business relationships that you have that you could add value to, whether you sell them a house or they go invest in a hotel and let you come stay for free. All of those things are possible. It's like, how do you get there? And so, it's always about adding value. We hear that over and over, add value, add value, add value to our clients. And that I think is one thing, if nothing else, you will take away, you will add value. Okay. So what project are you or I'm going to let you go with two because I'm excited to hear about the glamping. What are the top 2 projects you would like to share with us here in the last 2 minutes? Give us the rundown of where we should be checking you out.
Okay, 2 minutes, last project. So our most exciting thing is, okay, let me finish with the masterclass. So sign up for that masterclass. That's something that will show you from beginning to end what to do. And that's my most exciting current project because our glamping retreat is under snow right now. So I have a little bit of time right now to teach you guys everything that I know, everything that I've done in the last 2 decades. This is the time. And as soon as that snow melts, you guys, we are building a beautiful glamping retreat in southern Utah. We are halfway between Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, and Bryan Head Ski Resort. It's what I like to call a golden triangle. And it's a beautiful base camp. You can day trip to Escalante, Navajo Lakes, all of the different amazing places in southern Utah. And we are elevation, so we have pine trees. We're not in the desert. We're up in the elevation. We have the snow. We have the most amazing dark sky you've ever seen. More stars than you can ever imagine. It looks almost CGI, computer generated. And I didn't know there were that many stars out there. So we're building something beautiful. We'll have 25. We have domes that we're going to build in phase one. We'll have domes that look off to the sunset. We're very steep, so we have canyons and beautiful views and sunsets. From there, we'll build tree houses and tiny homes. We're going to have suspension bridges through the trees into these beautiful tree houses and stargazing deck and a hydrotherapy spa. So now you can hear why we are transitioning from the traditional short-term rentals to luxury experiential hospitality, because that is the next wave of the game. And I'm so excited to offer this experience for people.
Yes, and I am excited to have had you on the show to share all of these things that you have going on, as well as to have you in my corner as a mentor and someone to hold me accountable to continuing my investing dreams. If you are looking to find DeAnna Lee and more information about Collective Destinations, we are going to throw her contact information in the show notes, and you can also reach her on Instagram at collective.destinations. Is it with an S or without an S?
With an S, because why just have one?
Exactly. I was hoping you would say that. See, that'll help you remember. Okay, Instagram at collective.destinations. And we look forward to catching up with you on the next show. Check out the masterclass. And thank you so much, DeAnna, for joining us today.
Thank you.